This dude is seriously driving slow. May as well go a little quicker.
Whoa! That's what the open floor plan gives you in this thing. Full passenger control. We should do a video where you control acceleration and braking and I do steering. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome to one of the most anticipated videos by like 3 of you. I am reviewing the new Nissan Ariya. And by 3 of you, I mean like 3 million of you, because holy smokes, I have never received more requests to review a vehicle than this one right here. This is the Nissan Ariya. It is the biggest, baddest trim you can get. It has the big battery, 87 kilowatt hour usable, 91 kilowatt hour gross. It has the E-Force all-wheel drive, which is why I've conveniently driven it up on some snow here to show you its capabilities. And what we're gonna do in this video is our typical in-depth, nerdy driving review. Now, I'm super lucky. I've driven almost every electric vehicle on the road. I own quite a few of them. I actually own a Nissan Leaf, so I am a Nissan electric guy. My Leaf also happens to be red. So keep an eye on a video coming up where I actually show you the 10 or 11 years of progress Nissan has made since my Leaf was built in 2012 to this vehicle now launching in 2023. I think that'll be kind of interesting. So in this video, we're gonna go in depth on all the driving dynamics. We're gonna talk about how the E-Force all-wheel drive feels and performs. We're gonna put it on the highway, test the driver assistance, drive around the city and see maybe how it feels at low speed and test all that, brake pedal feeling, accelerator pedal feeling, and just go in depth for the driving nerds. So let's not delay. Light is getting thin out here. It is 5:30 in the evening. Let's go drive this Nissan Ariya. I've now conquered the snow slope to show you around the vehicle. And I think we should start just with a couple little specs so you understand where this car falls in line. Base price is low $40,000 range, about $43,000 base price. This one is the Platinum E-Force all-wheel drive. It only comes maxed out. It's got everything. This is hold on, are you sitting down for this? $63,000, and it's 63 and a bit. It's not just like 63,000, it's 63 and some hundreds. Wow. Also, no tax credit here, folks. You got to write the check for the whole thing. That is going to play hugely into my review. I also should note that you can get inexpensive versions or less expensive versions than this. In fact, there are 9 trim levels, and I'm so confused. Whoever the US product planner was for Ariya, I think you and I have to have a quick conversation, because look, everyone's going the Tesla way. We all know Tesla is making everything simple and it's just like the standard these days, right? This configuration, I just want to walk you through all the trim levels. And within the trim levels, there are different options as well. There is the Venture, there's the Engage, there's the Involve, there's the Empower, there's the Premier, and then there's the Platinum. Do you know which one's better than the other? Because I have no freaking idea. What is going on over at Nissan for them to make this such a complicated product? Just give us the one we all want. It's unbelievable. There's 2 battery pack options, a 63 kilowatt hour usable, 66 gross capacity version, or this one right here, which is 87 kilowatt hour usable, right? And 91 gross. This one, having all of the all-wheel drive and the big battery, is 389 horsepower, which is pretty spicy. And it's also, of course, dual motor all-wheel drive. And that sounds pretty good. So I'm looking forward to seeing the acceleration and how that feels. You can go as low as well into the low 200 horsepower range for the base one, and then all the way up here. I'm really just gonna focus on this trim today, which is the big battery all-wheel drive. I would like to sample a front-wheel drive at some point into the future. I should also note I've driven this Ariya sister car, which is the Renault Megane E-Tech, not available in the US, as a front-wheel drive model. That I drove, I really enjoyed it. It was quite stiff and sporty, so I'm looking forward to seeing how the Ariya drives. Now, I'm probably the last person on YouTube to get to experience the Ariya, and it is on one of the windiest days here in Colorado. I'm trying to wait for the perfect time to do some range testing and charging testing, because that's where this car really gets pretty interesting. The range on this particular one is high 200s. You're looking at about 268 miles of range. In the Platinum, I think all the other trims are 272 miles of EPA rated range. Really not bad, considering that, it's a big electric SUV that weighs 5,000 pounds. So I'm really curious to see how it does in our 70 mile per hour highway range test. The big downside here is not the range. Come with me, join me over here. It has to do with the charging. I don't know what they were doing at Nissan. They've only had, they were only the first ones to build a mass production electric vehicle, and they really haven't figured out what customers want, because it's not any of what I'm about to tell you. 135 kilowatt DC fast charging speeds, folks. This is like 2015 numbers. What's even a 2012 Model S, could do better than that now. I don't know what is going on over there. However, the battery pack is magically now liquid cooled. You know that Nissan's been very slow with the liquid cooling game. This is the first iteration of it. So not only do we have battery cooling, we also have battery heating for preconditioning on the way to a charger. And I believe that is a manual preconditioning option that you can activate, which is pretty cool. For those who may not understand, electric cars need to be warm to charge fast in the wintertime, the battery packs. Even worse than the 135 kilowatt DC fast charging peak speed, because again, I think from what I'm hearing, the curve isn't so bad. I haven't actually fast charged it yet, so wait for an updated video on that, is the AC charging speed, which is through the J1772 port. 30 amp onboard charger. Is that even legal these days to have something that low on a car? We're talking 7.2 kilowatts. That's like what my electric smart car has as an onboard charger. And this is a 5,000 pound luxury for 60 grand electric SUV. Just crazy. The minimum this should have is a 48 onboard charger, 48 amp onboard charger. Would have been great if they put a 60 or even an 80 amp onboard charger in this thing with vehicle to load or vehicle to X properties like the Leaf has had. A vehicle to load or vehicle to X with CHAdeMO in the output. Although they did upgrade finally to CCS on this particular model. So that's really right off the bat. Big considerations here. It doesn't matter the price point, those charging speeds suck. Styling is surprisingly great. In photos, I've never been that excited about this car. I've seen it for years. Nissan's been teasing this. Everyone's been waiting for the production Ariya to come out. And I was never really that into it. Having it here in Colorado in this configuration really looks awesome. Just seeing this car around, I'm so impressed. It catches my eye every time, and I just wish it was so much better from a technical standpoint underneath, because the styling team did a great job. You have this really cool black, like almost 3D effect under here. Perhaps some sensors are located under there. Nissan badge lights up a really nice white. The LED headlights are gorgeous. I haven't tested them at night yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And just overall looks really good. Coming down the side, it gives this very futuristic look. Considering this is such an old design and really a car that should have launched years ago that never made it to market until now, it really looks ahead of its time. And parking it next to ID4 and especially Model Y, it is by far a superior looking vehicle. Love that it has a rear wiper, which is really great. It's got the dual antenna thing going on up here, which I don't know, I think looks pretty cool. Probably not great for aero drag. Would have been great for them to fit all their sensors into one antenna, but whatever, it is what it is. So it looks really good, and it looks and appears to be a very premium car. Now, why is the trunk not opening? Probably because I left the car on. Let me shut that off really quick, and let's take a look at the trunk space. Car off, trunk open. There we go, 3 beeps and power trunk coming up. Sizable trunk, doesn't feel nearly as big as Model Y. And because this one is the all-wheel drive, you lose a lot of storage space under here. The front-wheel drive one goes in even deeper. This is your subwoofer, which doesn't really feel like it's mounted in there at all, does it? Look at that. Anyway, not sure what's going on there, but I heard the sound system fairly good, I have to say. And then you have just the front view of this over here as well. And so, yeah, okay, not really that bad. Parcel cover can go, the rear seats can fold down. Perhaps if you guys would like, I'll give you a full tour. We can fit some stuff in here. Perhaps Bjorn did a banana box test would be great to see. I'm going to look into the back seats, which look visually very nice. This one being the Platinum has blue Napa leather, which I am a fan of. I think it's cool. Let me hop in over here on the other side, and I have the seating position set to where I would normally sit. And guess what? Not much room. My knees are in the seat here. Now, yeah, no matter which way I put it, my head is scraping the roof. And I'm like, even if I slouch, I'm in the seat. This material is about the worst thing I've ever felt before. And these headrests, I just don't think are visually attractive. Some people might like them. That can be subjective. Really nice cup holder size, nice center armrest. I'm a fan of that. It's almost as if the seat, it's almost as if the seat is too narrow in the back. Take a look here as to how much room there is over here. I'm hitting, like, I feel like my shoulder cannot have any support over here because the seat kind of ends before my shoulder does. So I think they were trying to go for like a scalloped approach, but all it's doing is pushing me to the center of the car. And it feels honestly pretty uncomfortable, I hate to admit. So not a great back seat. There are vents in the back. There are heated seats in the back in this particular trim. So that does pass the Uber test. So that's great. Also, why couldn't Nissan decide on USB-C or USB-A? This is crazy. 3 years ago, I think it was acceptable to add a couple USB-C ports to show that you were leading the way. There's no reason USB-A should be in cars anymore at all. Okay, that's the backseat review. Honestly, not terrible if you have small kids, but for adults, it's a little bit cramped. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a bigger back seat. Crazy windy out here. Let me show you under the front trunk, or let's see if there is a front trunk, before we jump inside and finally drive this thing. So, popping the hood on the inside, let's see what is going on under here. So, no front trunk. It is a front wheel biased car. They use 2 externally excited synchronous electric motors, which are not permanent magnet. So no flux related losses while cruising. I think that was the right decision. The primary axle on this vehicle is the front axle, which means in 2-wheel drive configuration, it is front wheel drive. The rear motor is there as an assist. Now, what I'm going to be looking forward to experiencing today is if that rear motor feels beefy enough. I don't know the power outputs on both motors, so I'm going to be looking forward to looking at that. But under here looks pretty basic, looks very old school, nothing industry leading as far as I'm concerned, and that's a bit of a shame. You know, I really hate to be so hard on Nissan on many points of this car because there's a lot that I do like about it. But I have to be totally honest with you guys. This is 3 years behind schedule, just coming out now at a price point that is astronomical on a vehicle that doesn't qualify for a tax credit. My opinion, my sentiment might change a little bit if leasing was an option for this vehicle. If you could go through and get a $499 a month lease, $599 a month lease with a little bit down and you're into leasing, that's where this can become attractive. But with EQS's leasing in the $500 range per month with a few thousand down, if you can find one, I mean, it's the competition's really stiff in the leasing game. It's getting crazy out there. So keep an eye out for deals on this car. I certainly wouldn't recommend, just from the touch and feel and its road trip ability with that low power levels, I can't recommend right off the bat buying this as a long distance driver. Now, most people don't go long distance in their electric cars and they're going to spend time around town. And so that's what we need to find out. How does it drive around typical town during commuting times? And we're not going to do any hardcore shredding in this vehicle. It's not a performance car. We'll rip it onto the highway and do a couple things like that. I'm really curious how the driver assistance is. I heard it's great. So let's jump in. Let's go for a drive in the Ariya because it is freezing out here. You join me, Coleton, and Alyssa inside of the Nissan Ariya now. A little team test, if you will, a first drive. I know you've been driving it for the last couple days. I just got back from a road trip, and so now I'm looking forward to experiencing the Ariya. I hope it drives well. Don't give it away quite yet, and we'll talk about it as we discover things. Before we get going, we're already on voice control. So how do we shut that off with this button right here? Back. Oh, gosh. There we go. Back. I hit back. Go away. Anyway, it thinks we're talking to the car. There's a couple different drive modes here to start. So there's Sport.
Canceling voice recognition.
Thank you. There's Sport, Standard, Eco, and Snow. that all seems reasonable. You have to use this quite odd haptic actuation point here, and we'll do that when we do our interior review or whatever, and we already talked about it in some. We actually did a full review in yours. There's some power panels here that will scrape your leg to bits. Neat things in this car. This power sliding center console is pretty cool. The interior's not actually terrible, but it's not fitting of the price, I think.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I mean the leather on the seats are nice, but when you're sitting on the seat, you don't feel it. So, I mean, what's your impression overall?
Yeah, I mean, I like it aesthetically. I think when, all of the Alcantara bits, the leather feels good, but when you start feeling the plastics, very, very cheap feeling.
Yeah. Alyssa, your impression from the back seat?
I mean, just looking at the stitching right here, it looks like it's about to come out, so it does not look good from the back.
Okay, so the stitching ruins it for you then.
Well, it just looks like it's not fully together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the rest of the car?
I like the coloring. I like the seats. It's comfortable. It's comfortable back here, but I mean, I'm tall, so it's actually not enough room.
Okay, but I like the blue color, so
Yeah, I
they
do
got
like
that
the blue
right.
color.
Yeah.
Great. Well, let's focus on the driving bits. So that's enough on the car here. We're going to start in regular standard mode. There's also an E-step button, which I'm pretty sure is the same thing as I-pedal in the Leaf. That makes it one pedal driving. So if we go E-step off and standard mode on, I'm going to put the vehicle in drive. There is a slight lag between the gear selection and the screen readout here, but let's see if it creeps. Interesting, no creep, and that's because we're in auto hold, which there is a selection to turn that off. So let's turn auto hold off and off the brakes. A very gentle creep. Probably the gentlest creep I've ever experienced, but it is still going to...
It's picking up.
Yeah, no, 3 miles an hour is where it wants to be. So 3 mile an hour creep. Now, if I pull the shifter back into B mode, 4 mile an hour creep, it doesn't do anything. If I hit E-step, nothing happens as well. I thought that would be one pedal driving, but I guess not.
It does it like the ID4 does, to where it goes down to like 6 miles an hour, and then you have to use physical brakes.
Wow, so no one pedal driving in Ariya. That's very weird. And I think one thing we should just go through really quick is there like a vehicle drive settings in this car? I don't think so, right?
The only thing I've played with is drive mode here.
Right, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yep, there's like EV settings, which we've been through. That doesn't really do anything. So battery heater on, all that good stuff. Let's actually force that to go on, and that way we can precondition and warm up the battery for some charging tests. So we are manually preconditioning right now. Okay, so doesn't seem like there's any one pedal driving here. Even with E-step on, it creeps away. You have to use auto hold to hold you at a light. That's a downgrade from the Leaf. That's crazy, because Leaf has great one pedal driving. So we'll have to see what E-step does as we drive along a little bit more. Great, well, let's go for a little bit of a cruise. I'm going to adjust the steering wheel in the position I like. Initially, the accelerator pedal is a light pedal, and it honestly feels pretty good. Now, I have this all-wheel drive torque split on the screen here, and I can see it's heavily favoring the front motor under cruising, so I imagine on the highway it's going to be doing that as well. But cool that it shows you under regen and acceleration where all the power is coming from. Initially, just steering the car, very positive action here. The steering ratio feels kind of sporty. It feels cool. The brake pedal, okay, weird weird brake pedal initially. I don't know what was going on there. I guess we have to inch up a little bit closer to this gate. There we go. Hopefully the wind doesn't knock the gate into the car, which is very possible with this much wind going on here. I mean, I've saw 50, 60 mile an hour gusts.
Yeah, it was getting it out there.
It was crazy. So for those of you who don't know, Coleton has the Out of Spec Detailing YouTube channel, and we've done some in-depth build quality reviews on the Ariya. And you want to give everyone just your basic impression of how the car's put together, because you've now evaluated 2 separate ones.
Yes, I have. I think like overall build quality from exterior perspective, as far as panel gaps, panel alignment, not bad. I think it definitely rivals Tesla in that, Tesla's definitely had their issues. I think it's pretty good. To me, the biggest downgrade in this car is just the feel of inside materials. But overall, yeah, it feels like a nice car, if you will.
Okay, cool. What I'm going to do and I agree, by the way, I'm going to make a quick U-turn and just try some of the low-speed acceleration braking situations here just on your little frontage road. So turning circle, pretty good turning radius. That's not bad at all. That's fairly awesome. The one thing I want to try is just a wide open acceleration, just in standard mode. I'm just going to nail it. Everyone holding on to the floor. Pretty lackluster. Really picking up at 40 miles an hour. So at the 40 to 60 is really good.
Yep.
The 0 to 40 is not much going on there.
You notice on the power meter, it only goes to like 30 or 40%, or if you will, and then 40 hits and it really ramps.
Right, it just doesn't give you the power off the line like I wish it would, like most electric cars could at least. So I guess what we should do now is I'm going to put the car back into standard key up setting and just see how it feels, driving along normally and hitting the brakes. So we're standard E-step is off. This is just how you would get in and drive the car. I lift off the accelerator pedal and there is some regen. I can then pull back into B mode, which adds even more regen. I can then hit E-step, which adds even more regen. And then, like you said, 6 miles an hour, there's no more regen. I'm now pushing the brake pedal, which seems a bit old school. The one pedal driving thing Nissan has had. Why would they take that away? So many Leaf drivers love one pedal driving. So here we are coming up here. I'm just going to do a medium-sized brake application where E-step, B mode, regen's almost maxed out, leaning into the brake pedal, and my phone
went launching.
My phone was in the wireless charger and just shot like a missile. So now I know whenever you have to emergency brake in an Ariya, you put your hand down here first, and then you can brake. The brake pedal, Coleton, did I feel the brake pedal's doing an EQS?
Yeah, 100%.
Wow, so the brake pedal falls away from you when it has regen, which is everyone's biggest complaint with the Mercedes cars.
Yep.
Wow, that's weird. So just to talk about brake pedal strategy, Nissan in the past with the Leaf, in the current generation Leaf, they use basically a brake-by-wire system, which is a brake pedal that is electronically connected to a computer, which then actuates the braking system, and it chooses regenerative braking or physical brakes. And the brake pedal pressure to the end user is pretty much feels the same. Now, they have, in my opinion, the worst brake-by-wire system because it basically feels like a spring. It's not very easy to modulate. It feels like crap. But at least the brake pedal is always in the same place. What's going on here is the brake pedal is physically moving and physically building brake pressure in a booster, but the first few inches of travel are controlling regen, and then it gets into physical brake application. So when you lift off in B mode with E-step on, just as an example, and I keep my foot in one place, I can feel the brake pedal fall away.
Yeah.
And that is very awkward.
It is. And I'm sitting here watching it happen from the driver's seat or from the passenger seat.
Can you get a little clip
Yeah,
of that if you don't mind?
absolutely. It is so strange.
So to me, that's a little bit of a driver confidence or a safety thing, because then when you go to hit the brake pedal, you've already built up physical brake pressure in the brake pedal, and then it's a little bit firmer when you touch it. So it's not a consistent brake application every time. And I think that is a bit of a shame. The turn signal is from like BMW or Tesla. You go up and it returns to center. Something I've never seen in a Nissan before. Annoyingly, you cannot cancel it in the same direction that you put it on.
Please say the place name. Go back.
No, go
please.
away. Oh gosh. This is the back button, right?
Yes.
And she's not going away. How may I help you? You can't. Unless... Oh gosh.
Canceling voice recognition.
Thank you. So the what was I even talking about there? The brake pedal was moving, right? And here, we'll show the viewers that right now. Boom, brake pedal falls away. You hit the brakes and it goes there. The turn signal. I'm going to click the right turn signal on. It will auto cancel, I imagine, as we go around this corner. There we go. But if I put it on to make a lane change, typically what I would do is push it up in the same direction to cancel. That's how Tesla works. That's how BMW used to work. Here you actually physically push it in the other direction to cancel. And Lucid has the same problem. So automakers, you need to have canceling in the same direction you put it on, because then you get into this weird like left-right turn signal annoying battle for a lot of drivers. And how quick can you go left-right? Very fast. So that's a bit of a shame there. But I do like the turn signals that return to center. So good stuff there at least. Let's just hustle it through this little corner. Wow, very positive there. The steering has to be a strong point on this car. I like the ratio. The steering wheel feels really bad in my opinion. It uses really cheap quality leather. I hate pebbled leather in general, and the stitching is just not done that well. But overall, the steering control is great. So just to sum up the low speed driving characteristics now that we're getting out on the road a little bit here. The inching around town bits, there's no motor cogging. It's very smooth. The throttle is actually quite linear, and I think they did a really nice job with that. The one thing I would have loved to see was an I-pedal mode instead of this E-step to give us full one-pedal driving. In terms of deceleration, I think it's a true shame that the brake pedal falls away from you. It really is awkward. It's something you're thinking about every time you hit the brake pedal, and it doesn't lead to very mindless driving. It is something that you're just always thinking, where's my brake pedal going to be now when I hit it? And I wish they got that right. Now that we're just getting up onto some B roads here, we're doing, we can get up to 65 miles an hour. That's the speed limit. There's no wind noise in this car.
No, it's all tire noise.
Yeah, lots of road noise and tire noise, but wind noise on such a windy day is insanely quiet.
Yeah, really, really quiet.
So that's impressive. I mean, even the door thunks on this car are pretty solid. The build quality feels pretty chunky to me. It feels pretty good, as it should for the price. And this has to be one of the quietest wind noise experiences I've ever had in a vehicle. It's actually shocking getting out of the Rivian, which was just blowing wind everywhere, almost through the cabin. And I think that's a well-built vehicle. Into this, they really nailed wind noise in this. The impact noise to the tire is quite high, but the actual road noise I think is low.
Yep.
I think it's all impact noise, because if I go over here to the center,
A lot quieter.
it's so much quieter than riding in the ruts. You do hear the tire impact noise. So the noise performance of this is not quite e-tron, but very good. Better than any other Nissan I've ever been in, that's
Totally
for sure.
great.
So that's very good. The ride quality, just cruising in comfort mode and standard mode, we'll play around with the modes in a minute, fairly good. What's your impression? You spent more time with it. That Subaru sounded awesome.
Yes, it did. Yeah, I don't really notice a huge change as far as dampening control in this from Eco to Standard Sport.
Does it have
anything
adaptive damper?
I don't believe it does.
I don't think so.
Yeah, biggest thing I've noticed is tire noise, and these are, I believe this is the Bridgestone Alenza, which they do. Probably go one more down.
No, I want to go into this
Okay.
parking lot. Send it through here. Wow, it's got power.
It really does.
This is just standard mode, and I'm just kind of hustling it through here, these little bits. That's fun, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the suspension's done pretty well. Even
agree.
considering it's front-wheel drive bias, that felt good. I'm surprised the sporty nature of it, but then again, see, there's the brake pedal was weird. Sorry.
You could hear it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. So that's why I'm surprised it's actually that fun to kind of hustle on that little bit, even in standard mode, because I shouldn't be, because the Renault Megane E-Tech was actually quite stiff and fun. So this has some sporting character to it, which I wasn't so much expecting. Let's put it into sport mode now. And just that little quick drive up this road was really impressive from a ride quality standpoint. Let's just send it out of this little parking lot. Nothing crazy, just like a little bit of a cruise up this little road right here. And really good, actually, to just get it into this corner. We're going to go hard power. Traction control the whole way, of course. Oh, and it's making some noises. Sorry,
And launch the phone.
I wanted to see if you could feel ABS in the brake pedal, and you can. So under emergency braking, the pedal's really deep and quite squishy, but you do feel ABS feedback, as you would expect from a physically connected brake pedal. So very pleased there.
One thing I do not love these seats because I slide every single time you hit the brakes.
Oh yeah, it's
Because
a little
of the
slippery.
leather. Yeah. I think that's another leather characteristic.
Well, I'm actually surprised at the sporting nature. That's not why people will buy this car, though. So I'm actually going to put it into eco mode right now, which seemed to even increase regen a little bit. There's the front collision warning beeping at me in my head-up display, and with that little chime as we came up on that Jeep there. It feels very lackluster at low speed. I am in eco mode, so I'm curious to see how the performance now feels in eco. Very limited.
Woo!
It gets to full power barely, but it's definitely slower in eco mode, no question. Because if I put it back to sport mode and we just nail it, the delay is ridiculous. What is this noise? It sounds like someone's playing 50 flutes.
Under full throttle there, it was showing more power going to rear motor than front.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at that here. Rear motor is really working harder than the front. Very good to see there. Let's just put it back into standard and try Nissan ProPilot. This is sort of an abbreviated first drive, if you will, but it is my first time experiencing the car. And maybe if you guys want, I'll do a full in-depth driving review, but I'm not sure it's so needed on the Ariya. It actually drives, the driving is probably the highlight of this car.
Yeah, I would totally agree.
It drives great. So now I have it selected with active lane keeping, ProPilot, with distance setting, and I can set it to 70 miles an hour. What I'm curious to see is this a, now it keeps thinking I'm talking to her, but she won't cancel. I'm curious if this is a capacitive steering wheel or a torque wheel. So let's find out.
Voice recognition.
Thank you. We have our first warning, and I'm going to, it is a capacitive steering wheel. Whoa. And I'm also going to play a clip that you sent me.
You need to do it in here because it makes the craziest noises.
All right, let's just do it then. I'm going to pretend I'm not paying attention. I'll cover the wheel and let's see how it does. So no warnings yet. We get our first visual warning. It really wants your hands on the wheel. Get some beeping. Increasing. It sounds like a bomb's about to go off. Brakes. And I'm just taking over here because we're kind of running next to other traffic and I just want to get away from these people. Wow, that's really funny.
Yeah.
It's like a bomb's about to go off. And does it let you engage the steering back after that? It seems to, yes. So it doesn't seem like there's a ProPilot jail of any kind. Perhaps if it goes all the way. Of course, we're going to run this in the hog pack, although currently it's on fire, which is a bit of a shame. Yeah, there's a wildfire going on there. So I'm not sure if we'll have a chance to run it this time, but we'll certainly get an Ariya to run in the hogback and run ProPilot. I'm going to put it B mode, E-step. This is max regen at the moment. Not that strong.
No.
And we're at low state of charge. We're at 46%, where it should be able to give us, maximum regen here. I do want to do just a little bit more ProPiloting with seeing if it can do lane changes. Do you know if it can?
I honestly haven't played with it much more than trying to see what it would do, because I'm always curious to see if you don't touch the wheel and pay attention what it actually does, because like our ID4, I love that it just gives you a quick brake check and pulls the seatbelt. So
right, well, there's 1, 2, 3 distance settings. That's minimal. Normally 4 is the standard, sometimes 5 or 6. I don't think I've seen a car in recent memory with only 3 adjustments. What does this little button do right here? What? Nothing, apparently. I gotta do some more research on the driver assistance, because it kind of looks like it would pull into a lane change, doesn't it?
Right.
But it doesn't seem to be doing anything. If I hit the turn signal, it's accelerating, but it's not making the lane change. Yep, so no auto lane change apparently. And we're going to do a full driver assistance review here coming up, but the lane centering portion is pretty good. Typical Nissan ProPilot, I'm a fan of. I've used it many times. Feels great in here. It does everything you need it to do for keeping you in the middle of the lane. Even in this quite convoluted situation, it's doing this great. So big fan of that. I can set it right to the speed limit by hitting the down arrow right there. So now it's bringing us down to the speed limit, which is great. And overall, on the highway, the suspension is tuned really well on this car, between having quite a sporty character to it around some of those corners and then being quite comfortable on the highway and really quiet. That's where this car shines for sure. And while the charging might be not so great, if you have a long commute, a single way commute, and you charge at home, this car might actually give you a really pleasant driving experience on the daily. So I don't know. Well, I think we'll kind of wrap up the driving bit there. Maybe we'll find a couple more twisty roads just to play around with. But Alyssa, your driving review from the back seat, please.
Well, you are noting a lot about how the ride quality was very good. I would not say it was that great back here, but that's usually the case for a lot of cars. And so I don't really have much to compare it on, but all of those little bumps and stuff, like I felt it, but I didn't only feel it just in the bottom, but also in my back as well. So it was pretty vibraty back here while we were driving.
Okay.
But overall, I mean, the sound proofing is decent. I don't think it's really as amazing as you said it was. I mean, comparing it to my e-tron, which is a bank vault, I mean, this
Yeah, it is.
I pretty spoiled in that aspect, but overall I think it's a great car, but the price is just not where it's at.
Yeah, I think the impact noise was the loudest thing by far, because the wind noise, the outside environment noise was great. Overall, yeah, it's certainly no e-tron, but it's pretty good, better than any Nissan or even any Japanese product that I've sampled.
Yeah, for a Nissan product, yeah, this
Definitely
is great.
quieter than a Model Y.
Quieter than a Model Y, I sort of agree. Let's make a quick U-turn here, use that turning radius, and full power. Yeah, 40 miles an hour is when it hits you hard, and it really keeps pulling.
Yeah.
Wow, it just gets right up there.
It really pulls.
Gonna do a full brake test. Everyone holding on. No one's behind us. The most amount of shake I've ever felt in a vehicle. Did you feel that?
The whole way.
It's like we were doing the Tundra twerk. On the
Wow.
stuffing. That was really funny. So very aggressive ABS activation.
Yeah.
Left some marks.
Yeah, it left some marks. I mean, it did its job. It's good. It also has this digital rearview mirror, which is probably the crappiest mirror I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's an Alibaba special. Okay, well, let's see if we can just find a quick little road to cruise on that's not so heavily trafficked, a little winding beat road, if you will, and then we'll end our review, our first drive initial review right there. So just wanted to kind of close off the video a little bit with some just performance notes. Not that this is really, again, a racer or something you're going to take to a track day. I'm actually just really impressed with the overall handling of the Ariya in general, especially with powertrain control. I noticed just cruising around watching some of the all-wheel drive torque split, if I'm in standard mode, it's very much front wheel biased. But when I put it in sport mode, it targets pretty much 50-50, and actually always a little bit more rear than the front, which is great. And then when you go wide open throttle, it's showing more power from the rear. So that would indicate a more powerful rear motor than the front, but still very similar. I know they are at different gear ratios. I just want to do a full launch in all-wheel drive mode here really quick. I'm going to brake boost it, floor it. Let's see what it does. So there we go, torqued over, off we go. Still the same thing where it doesn't give us full power until 40 miles an hour, and then it rips pretty good. And man, it has sustained performance again, which is really quite nice. And again, we're not going to take it around a track or anything, and it's not really built for that, but just going to go through a couple of these little S-turns right up here and just get a feeling for how it drives in full all-wheel drive mode. I do have traction control turned off, but just kind of hustling it into these little corners. Even the transition under braking, it's nice and soft but balanced, and standing on the throttle on the exit is good. Leaning on the brake pedal, I can kind of find that threshold braking point even all the way to here where my phone keeps flying
under
away.
your pedals now.
But it's actually like a really easy car to move the weight around and lean the weight up on the front right or lean it on the front left and then get it on the back outside for the corner exit. Now, it feels like it's trying to do some sort of torque vectoring effect, if you will. But I don't believe it has mechanical torque vectoring at all. I think it's just using brake actuation. They claim regen actuation in the press materials. I'm not really sure how that's possible. But either way, whatever they do does work. If you go too hard, though, you will just spin the inside tire, which we've done now, where we just, come into a corner, nail it, and then you're just roasting inside front. So, but dynamically, like the Ariya feels faster than ID4.
Oh, by a lot.
By a ton, and honestly probably more natural and fun feeling even than Model Y. The Model Y is no question faster than this car, but even through some of these corners it's soft. But wow, it just feels, from a drivetrain control, very nicely balanced. And again, we're in an area where no one is around, but the Model Y for sure would be a better handling, faster car. Now thinking about it, suspension's pretty soft and wallowy in this. What's your impression, Colton?
I mean, it feels surprisingly good from the passenger seat. I really think their control down low of not giving you full power would, like, this thing would be a rocket if they gave you all the power down low.
That's all we need is just for this thing to rip from zero.
Absolutely.
Why do I have to wait till 40 miles an hour? Now, I know they're not permanent magnet motors, so they can't give that much from zero, but they certainly have enough to give, you know, more than what they're doing at the moment. So I think that kind of classifies the Ariya. It's actually kind of annoying it doesn't give you full power until you're moving. Well, I think that's enough to say the Ariya's all-wheel drive system is fairly impressive. The ride quality is very good, although Alyssa claims in the back seat maybe not so much. And I'm even watching the back end of the car bounce around. A little Mach-E syndrome.
It's very comfortable up here, though, for sure.
No issues up here at all. Yeah, I agree with that. And wow, the driving of this car kind of redeems a lot of the bad start to the video, if you will. The driving portion's pretty good.
I think you'd have a lot of fun taking this up, you know, I-70, up some back roads in the mountains, and you could really hustle this thing up a road.
And then you got to charge it.
Yep.
And it's going to take an eternity. Yep. All right, well, let's head back to where we started and kind of wrap up the video with our final thoughts. I'll give it a little old ripperoonie out of here just to see kind of if we can get any rotation on the exit. I'm floored. Nope, it just spins inside the wheel. Good. And well, there you have it. Just my first quick go, my first drive in the Nissan Ariya. And, you know, to sort of start us off, I think the price point is ridiculous, especially on this model, $63,000 something. I mean, you can get a Model Y Performance without the tax credit for cheaper than this, and that vehicle qualifies for a $7,500 tax credit. So we just need to go into it understanding that the price is still pretty crazy. Now, the driving portion of this car truly was surprisingly good. I think Nissan did a commendable job on their all-wheel drive system, really not making it feel front-wheel biased, giving it some fun around corners just to neutralize it. Again, if you go too hard in a performance setting, you are spinning inside tire. I would have liked to see maybe some more power vectoring left and right action happening on the back axle. Could really help make the car rotate a little bit more. It's not meant to be a performance car, but considering what the intended use of this vehicle is as a daily commuter, it's surprisingly fun, it's surprisingly quiet, and it rides surprisingly well. So that's really, I think, the key selling point of the Ariya now after experiencing it would be the driving dynamics. The thing is, if you're a driving enthusiast, the Model Y is still going to be faster, more fun, give you track mode in performance and in the performance Model Y. And like, that's just a whole nother level where you can go, you know, full sideways, full track mode in an SUV. And so to me, it's like, yes, very good, very comfortable, very quiet, very competent, but still not the one that I could recommend you buy for a driving portion. The driver assistance is very good. I really like ProPilot. Does a nice job of keeping you in the lane. It's a bit overactive, I think, on needing to feel the capacitive touch, because even if you're lightly touching the steering wheel, I would notice it would start yelling at me to touch the wheel. And, you know, it's like every 5 seconds. It's not like every 50 seconds or a minute, which would feel a little bit more natural in my opinion. So it's a little bit too late, this car. The driving, again, very good. And that's my first initial thoughts on the driving review of the Ariya, which is actually impressed me quite a bit, this car. Love the way it looks, really like the way it drives, really wish Nissan learned something in the last 10 years about what an electric car should be, and it's not 130 kilowatt DC fast charging. So thanks so much for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video. We have a lot to do with the Ariya. We're going to be DC fast charging it. We're going to be looking at the efficiency and the range. We're going to be comparing it to ID4, Model Y, Ioniq 5, Mustang Mach-E, you name it. Those will all be across the Out of Spec channel, so keep an eye on Out of Spec Detailing with Coleton. Keep an eye on Out of Spec Guide, where we shot some videos with this. It's really windy and really cold. We're going out to dinner, so we'll see you on another one soon. Bye-bye.